Hello students, this is Mrs. Williams from Legacy High, and we're going to discuss again the last section in our angle relationship studies. And remember that we've talked about complementary angles, angles whose sum is 90 degrees. We talked about supplementary angles, angles whose sums are 180 degrees. So we're also going to talk about vertical angles. And vertical angles are any two non-adjacent angles formed by intersecting lines. Okay, so for instance, this example here, angles 1 and 2 are vertical angles. And that is important because vertical angles are equal and the key word here is across from, as opposed to next door neighbor angles like adjacent angles. And so it's very important that we understand these. Okay, so it says name the two pairs of vertical angles here. Well, angles 1 and 2 and angles 3 and 4 are vertical angles. Name the angle that's vertical with angle VZY. Well, here's VZY. So the angle that's vertical to that is going to be angle XZW. Now I use the pencil method to tell. If you place your pencil and aim it toward the vertex of your angle, wherever it points, that's the angle that's vertical to that angle. Because sometimes it can be pretty complicated. Let's look down here at this number 6, this example. And we're told that the measure of this angle is 41 degrees. And we're told that the measure of this angle is 72 degrees. Okay, so I'm going to use my pencil pointer method, and I'm going to place my pencil right there, and this is pointing toward angle 3. So angle 3 is vertical to this 41 degree angle, so that makes angle 3 41 degrees. And I'm going to place my pencil here and use the pointer method, and also it points toward angle 1, so that means that angle 1 is also 72 degrees. Now, to figure out the value of angles 4 and 2, I only have to figure out 1 because remember, these are vertical angles. This number 2, angle 2, is pointing toward angle 4. So what I can do now is I can see that, hey, these are supplementary angles. So if I take 72 and 41 and I add, I get 113. Well, I know that this angle here, angle 4, must be 67 degrees because 67 degrees and 113 is what will give me that 180. And all I did was 180 minus 113, and that gives me 67. And if angle 4 is 67, angle 2 is also 67. So what do problems look like? Okay, let's look at problem 4 because we've been solving a lot of equations. So line AC and line DE are intersecting. So that means they form, in this illustration, two pairs of vertical angles. Well, we see that these two angles are vertical, which means that they are equivalent. So I can work this problem. 2x plus 20 is got to be equal to 3x plus 15. This is the equation that I'm going to solve, and it says find x. Well, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. X is equal to 5. 2 times 5 is 10 plus 20 is going to be 30. And 3 times 5 is 15 plus 15 is also going to give me 30 degrees. Not a very good illustration. It would seem like they would be on this side with their smaller. But remember, you're going to have illustrations and graphics that are not drawn to scale. They're going to say that. So they're not going to give you any hints in that area. So now, for your assignment, it's going to be a couple of puzzles. You can do your work on your own paper. That will be fine. But this is a little maze. And I like it because it has supplementary angles, vertical angles, complementary angles. Remember that our supplementary angles are those angles whose sum is 180 degrees. Complementary angles are those angles whose sum is 90 degrees, and vertical angles are equal to each other, equal and across from. So some examples of the problem. Here's an example of vertical angles. If I know that this angle here is 73 degrees, using my pencil pointer method, X also has to be 73. Here's an example here of complementary. This angle is 37 degrees, and we can see the little box there to show that they're right angles. So this one must be 53 degrees to add up to 90. And then we have supplementary angles. Here's an example of a linear pair of supplementary angles. This one is 77 degrees, and so this one must be 103. So those are some examples, and it's just with arithmetic. You're adding, subtracting. The second part of this involves some equations. But you're still talking about supplementary angles, angles whose sum is 180 degrees, complementary angles, angles whose sum is 90 degrees, and vertical angles, we know that they are across from and they are equal. So I went through and I set up a problem of one of each kind. Now that doesn't mean that you're going to you work this problem actually in the maze, but I did go ahead and choose some. This is a right angle, so we say 2x plus 2 plus 3x plus 12 equals 90. Okay? Supplementary angles are a linear pair, so these together are going to be 180. So 3x plus 7x plus 40 equals 180. Okay? Draw that part right there. And right here we have vertical angles. And vertical angles are across from each other, but we know that they're equal. Therefore, x plus 64 is equal to 6x minus 31. So I want you to work through these so that you have a little practice going back and forth among the three types of angles. Let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.